I know, it just looks so slim and sexy for a pickup truck. Can you believe I'm saying that?
This truck has some traditional and actually class-leading pickup truck numbers.
Trucks have got to look cool. This looks cool.
We just reviewed the F-150 Lightning. I think I kind of like the front end of this even better.
They call these the tuning fork lights. This is the new Ram grille with the Ram embossed there and backlit. I mean, it's you know, trucks have got to look cool. This one looks cool.
I know, it's got a really big wow factor here.
But look at these graphics in the front end, specifically in black. It looks really good.
The rest of the front end has a more streamlined profile to it because EVs are all about aerodynamics. In fact, the company says this has a 0.34 coefficient of drag, which should make it among the most efficient for pickup trucks in terms of slipping through the wind. That's going to, again, help with the aerodynamic efficiency.
You can see that we still have a very strong brand identity with these front headlights. There's no way you're gonna think of this as anything else but a Ram when you see this, either at daytime or nighttime. You also have this Ram logo in the center now being illuminated. It looks really good. It looks like a proper truck. You could mistake this for an internal combustion engine.
You know what I like about it? It's basically the same setup as a traditional Ram. Like, they didn't make it future and weird.
Nope.
It's basically a modified version.
Looking at the side profile, you can see very traditional look, and I think this is kind of where there's a little bit of a missed opportunity for Ram, because this is an all-new electric dedicated platform. They could have made the styling of the truck much more unique, but there are a couple elements of the show truck that didn't make it. Remember, the show truck had that pass-through front trunk. That's not here. It also had that third row that was in the scissors door. That's not here as well. So you can see very conventional look. And Ram says that the REV will only be available in a crew cab short bed configuration. So you have a 5'7" long bed. Now you can see, like other Ram models, they do offer their Ram box here, where you can have a little bit of lockable storage here, where there's also a drain. You can use this as a cool box. This is a really nifty feature, but it does eat into the space in the bed. But again, it gives it a really cool storage compartment.
But take a look at the wheels. 8 lugs. These are 22s, and they have this aerodynamic design where these sections are kind of closed in. And of course, they're trying to maximize range. It has an independent rear suspension, so no solid rear axle.
Now we have a thin line here going into a bit of a thicker line here, and then a massive, super thick LED, which I think looks great on the production version. You can see that we also have the Ram boxes here intact, and this fender itself, this feels like it is probably the exact same fender that we have in the internal combustion engines. As you can see in this comparison, look at this. We have this fender of the electric Ram 1500, and the doors as well feels like they are exactly the same as the internal combustion version. Looking at the lines here, we can analyze these lines. We have a cut line here for the bumper, same cut line on the internal combustion, and this line here also comes back in this version down here. The Ram boxes, you can see the lock is exactly the same lock as we have in production today.
And then when you look at the rear here, you can see it also looks pretty much like the standard gas-powered truck, but you can also see that the LED lighting elements have carried over from the taillights here into the bed, and you also have their new logo, and then there's a very large tungsten badge over here to show you that you've got the highest trim of the Ram REV. Now, opening up the tailgate, Ram will offer a power-operated tailgate on the higher-end trims like this model here, and you can see there's also a spray and bed liner that this truck already has. And you can also see where what I mentioned, how the Ram boxes do eat into the space of the bed a little bit, but unlike some competitors, Ram says that you can tow up to 14,000 pounds, and you can also carry up to 2,700 pounds of payload in the bed. So that's going to put it near the top of the class.
And take a look at the front, 15 cubic feet of space.
The concept truck they showed had a pass-through here. This one doesn't have it.
A lot of brands are able to give us a massive frunk, and as you can see, Ram certainly doesn't disappoint. It's power operated, and this frunk is actually larger versus what you get in its main rival, the Ford F-150 Lightning. The company says this offers up to 15 cubic feet of storage space. So 15 cubic feet pretty much rivals the size trunk that you're going to find in a lot of compact or mid-size sedans. But as you can see here, there is power on board in the front. Ram says you can supply up to 3.6 kilowatts of power, and while you can also do up to 7.2 in the rear. That's a little bit more versus the Lightning, however, a little bit less in the rear and the bed versus the Lightning.
The amount of battery capacity is enormous.
I know.
You think most passenger electric cars are 77 kilowatt hour battery? That's absolutely enormous.
That battery, 229 kilowatt hour battery, is big.
And they're going to have an XR version. I guess it stands for extra range.
Yeah.
They're going to get even more range than 800 kilometers. They're going to announce that, I guess, closer to production.
This truck will launch with 2 different battery sizes. A 168 kilowatt base battery offering up to 350 miles of range. That's the base battery pack, and an even larger 229 kilowatt hour battery pack. That should be good for up to 500 miles of range. That range figure will put this truck at the top of the segment, and it's also currently going to be the biggest battery that you can buy in a production EV vehicle.
800 volt architecture, which allows for current industry leading, basically tying the GM trucks 350 kilowatts of charging. And they're saying 110 miles of range is available at maximum speed to be recouped in about 10 minutes.
This has got 654 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque.
It'll go 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, a full-size truck with a big-ass battery in 4.4 seconds.
I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it?
Well, if you put a big enough battery in, it'll do everything.
So really this truck on performance as far as acceleration is not going after the likes of the Rivian, but they're competing with traditional competitors. So Ram versus GM versus Ford. Of course, the Ford Lightning is still here, but the Lightning, it's already on sale, and it sold approximately 14,000 trucks in the first quarter of this year. But the Lightning has a little bit less power, 580, and a little bit less performance.
It can tow 14,000 pounds. It has a payload of 2,700 pounds and water fording 24 inches.
Now, it's got 2 motors, 2 electric motors, one in the front, one in the rear. They're approximately 335 horsepower each, but the total power is listed at 654 horsepower and 620 pound-feet of torque. So this is almost Ram TRX territory.
Now moving on to the interior of the Ram 1500 REV. Now if you guys have spent some time in the gas version of the truck, this interior should feel very familiar, with a couple of elements here to show that you're in a new trim, the tungsten trim, and you're in the EV trim. I want to first, however, talk about the seats, because these are the seats that come with the tungsten trim. You can see there's badging here. The seats themselves, they adjust in 24 different ways. They're heated and ventilated, and they also offer a massage function. And the leather, as you can see, is very plush. It's got the diamond quilted stitching, the contrasting piping and stitching as well, along with some badging that you also find on the center console here. You can see there's some, looks like genuine carbon fiber trim and leather splashed throughout the entire center console along the dashboard.
Ram arguably has the nicest cab in the industry, and they're taking it up a notch.
I mean, look at even the color contrast here with kind of an ivory look, and then you've got a darker color here. I think it's a nice combo. Everything just feels like there's soft materials everywhere within this vehicle. You're right, I mean, Ram does do a good job. And the seats are so comfortable in here. Rarely do I get into a pickup truck where the seats are uncomfortable. So this just feels really quite nice. Ram has done another nice job with the interior of this fully electric pickup truck.
Now above me you can see there's also a very large panoramic glass roof. This also opens up. It has a power retractable shade, and you also have really lovely suede Alcantara material on the headliner and on the pillars, which again kind of gives you that feeling of quality and luxury, which you're going to demand when you're driving a truck that's going to be this expensive.
This top model that we're reviewing right now has a 14.5-inch touchscreen. It does come with a standard 12-inch. They say that there's a new E-shifter in here. It looks like a dial.
It's the same to me. And then the standard 12.3-inch instrument cluster.
Yes, and then you've got the passenger side screen as well, which is 12.25
Look at that.
inches.
It says it's Chris Stapleton, I'm
a
a Ram.
Ram.
I love that.
But then you're also noticing there's a new passenger display here. This is essentially the same 10.25-inch display that you see on the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, which has been grafted onto this vehicle. And then you can see here in the center, this has their Uconnect 5 system with a 12-inch touchscreen, which includes wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, over-the-air updates. And then you also have an all-digital display here in the instrument panel, along with a slightly different steering wheel, though I am surprised. The steering wheel itself looks pretty nice. I like the leather around the airbag cover. I like the feel of the leather. I kind of wish the grips here for the wheel itself, the rim is a little bit too thin, but that's kind of a personal preference of mine. The steering wheel itself, surprised to see it's not a power tilt and telescoping wheel. It is manual, but it does offer a good amount of adjustability. This should also offer their latest in terms of driver assistance tech. That looks like right here is a sensor that watches my face to see if you're paying attention to the road.
You have a 12.3 gauge cluster, and I love that Ram is including all of their truck features. Tire pressure monitor system on the right, brake controller gain, suspension height. They also have right here, this knob is to help you steer the trailer when you back up. Here's your rotary dial for park, reverse, neutral drive, eco mode, and front release. Right here on top of the steering wheel, you can see the sensor that's watching the driver's eyes. You could see it right there. I can use my light. So this will have hands-off, eyes on the road, driver assistance, driving system, ADAS. Dual wireless chargers. So 2 spots for that now. I love this. So they put the seat controls on the door. This is something that currently the Grand Wagoneer from Jeep.
This truck only offers a crew cab configuration, which is good because most people in America want the crew cab configuration. And when I get back here, the gas version has like 44 inches of legroom, which it looks pretty much the same here. Remember, this is built on a dedicated EV truck architecture, which you can see the floor is completely flat. You have heated and ventilated seats back here. You have 4 USB charging ports, an actual power outlet, rear seat air vents. You can see there's actually speakers here in the seat backs, because remember, there's 23 speakers throughout the cabin. And then you can see here on the door panel, there's lots of leather stitching with real aluminum trim. And then you also have this area here, which you can fold down to give you actually a pretty large center console area with some storage, 2 cup holders. These windows back here do slide open, but they don't roll down. That's something that Toyota does on the Tundra. But overall, the back seat area, as you can see, if you guys plan to put large adults back here or kids, the vehicle is wide enough to easily accommodate 3 across, and it has enough leg and headroom to accommodate a lot of taller drivers.
They do slide forward and back.
And the back seat, have you slide it forward?
Yes.
Slide it forward. The seat back, now lean back. Lean back now.
Oh,
it reclines.
wow, yeah, that's really nice. I get why people love pickup trucks, especially for the comfort level and of course the space, and now you've got a pure EV with Ram.
I don't have pricing for you right now, but I think when this truck goes on sale, it's gonna have pretty, high price, because of course it also has a lot of technology, but also this interior looks and feels super luxurious.
So although Ram is slightly late to the EV truck party with the Ram 1500 REV, as you guys see, the specs on this truck are very impressive. Up to 500 miles of range on the bigger battery pack is really the number that a lot of consumers are looking for, especially if you're planning to actually tow, because as you guys know, the Lightning, its max range is 320 miles. Ram, again, offers a base range of 350 miles. And in case you guys think that 500 isn't enough, the company is also promising a 1500 REV XR, which will have supposedly a gas engine range extender, which the company says will offer even more range. Again, that's for all of you truck people out there who plan to actually do some serious towing and hauling. Now, speaking of which, if you are looking to get your hands on the Ram 1500 REV, Ram says you can go to their website right now and put down a $100 deposit. However, deliveries won't start until the end of 2024. So you're going to have to wait a little over a year.